Hi there, welcome back to another video recapping today's stage in the Fantasy Tour de France and looking ahead to tomorrow. Today was a really excellent stage, real heartwarming moment as Cav got his 35th stage win. I think everyone in the peloton and everyone who's a fan of the tour was happy to see that happen. Let's look at the points. So, of course, Cavendish scored the most points. That was nice to see. However, the two breakaway guys did come awfully close to him. I was happy to see that my prediction from yesterday turned out to be correct. I had predicted that the two teams interested in the breakaway would be Groupama FDJ and Total Energies. They're the only two teams that I'm aware of that don't have a serious sprinter and also don't have a serious GC contender that they need to protect. So they kind of have nothing else going for them on today's stage if they don't go in the break. I think that will be especially true tomorrow as well. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Philipsen looked pretty good. He came in second, although I do have to say Cavendish did beat him quite handily, and there was a pretty sizable gap on the line. Philipsen was in his wheel and just couldn't come around. He didn't even come out of his wheel. I have a lot of concerns about what I saw from his train. It seemed to be a little bit chaotic. They didn't have it together, but I don't think that should influence your fantasy picks too much because we've seen that team come together where it matters. And today was just clearly a bad day. I don't know what happened there. Conversely, Mark Cavendish's train looked completely on point. He was well protected and right up in the front from really like 20K to go. And in fact, I was almost wondering, is his team in the front too early? But in the end, it ended up being perfect. They got him to where he needed to be, and then he served the wheels. Christoph finished third on the stage and then Deli fourth. They both looked pretty good. This was about as much as I'd expect from either of them, maybe a bit more than I'd expect from Christoph. Peterson crashed in the final, so he didn't get to contest the final sprint. He went down really, really hard. It's not clear whether he's going to start the stage tomorrow. The team put out a statement saying he has no broken bones, but they're going to make an assessment in the morning as to whether he'll even start stage six. So this is putting me very much on edge considering I've got him on my team. So I don't know what I'm going to do there. If any information comes out tonight about him withdrawing, then of course I'll sell him. Otherwise, I think I'm probably going to risk it and keep him on my team. I want to note also that Wout van Aert didn't contest the sprint. He continues to be a disappointment. He's killing me. I'm looking to drop him soon off my team, but he hasn't really presented a clear opportunity to do so. He said he's going to make a decision day by day as to whether he contests the sprints, and he's also perhaps saving himself for the stage 7 ITT. I really don't know what's going on with him. Looking real quick over at the jersey points, a couple things to note there. First is just that Pog and Remco are at the top, a little bit closer than they were yesterday. Ayuso, Vingegaard, and Rodriguez are also looking really good in the 60-point range. If you're looking to pick up a non-sprinter in the next stage or two, these are the guys I'd be looking at, especially Vingegaard and Ayuso, both of whom can TT very well. They did jump ahead of Jonas Abrahamsen today, who lost the green jersey and didn't really contest much on the road except for the one Cat 4 climb. But I do want to note that he is still the most efficient rider in terms of jersey points. His points per cost is highest among all riders. So still potentially a good pickup. I'm regretting every day that I didn't pick him up from the start, but not ready to do it quite yet. A couple of other riders I want to call out, Madouas, Vandenbroek, and Romo, they're all still looking pretty good in terms of points per cost for the jersey competitions. They're cheap riders that are still doing well based on their performances in the breakaways a few days ago. In particular, I think Madouas and Vandenbroek are going to be continuing to do well in this tour. I think we'll see them in more breaks. So riders to look out for. As of the time of recording, there were no additional withdrawals. I do expect that Mads Pedersen potentially will be a DNS for stage 6 tomorrow, but we'll see. We'll have to wait for that news to come out. Taking a look at tomorrow's stage, it's definitely a pure bunch sprint stage, more so even than today because there's only one Cat 4 climb and it's right at the start in the first 10 kilometers. Additionally, the intermediate sprint is only 30 kilometers in, so it's going to be a whole lot of nothing going on for the last 120 kilometers or whatever. So I expect this is going to be a day for a small break with Groupama or Total riders in it. Looking at the odds for tomorrow, Unsurprisingly, Mark Cavendish has hopped up into second place. None of the other sprinters are really looking super consistent, including Philipsen, who the bookies, as well as I think, is still the top favorite for tomorrow. But Cavendish is definitely rising in the ranks in terms of sprinter rankings in this tour. And if you need to pick up a sprinter, especially with Mads Pedersen potentially leaving the tour, we'll see. Cavendish should be on your radar. Taking a quick look over into our fantasy league, we've got some really big hitters in the league. These are the folks who are leading our league at the moment. And all three of the top three here are in the top 100 globally, including Thomas, who is first overall for the global league. So it's nice to see that we have some success coming from the discussions and teamwork that we have brewing in our Discord server. Looking at Tomas's team, he did make a couple trades today. He picked up Groenewegen and DeLee, but the rest of his team is still looking super solid, with the exception of Pedersen, who's a question mark for tomorrow. He picked up some really, really excellent low-cost riders, and I think that holding these for a while is going to pay off because I expect all three of them to continue to score points in this tour. Looking at the winner for today's stage within our league, I just want to call out my buddy Cape Ann Campibaras, who wrote this really excellent winner's speech. He won the stage within our league today in large part because he's got Cavendish on his team. So it's nice to see him winning that. Looking at my team at the minute, I'm not planning on making any changes today. Later tonight, depending on what I read in the news and depending on how I'm feeling, I might make some changes. If I were to do that, I would potentially be getting rid of one of or both of Mads Pedersen and Wout van Aert. Wout continues to disappoint, and Pedersen just went down really hard at the end of today's stage. If I were to get rid of them, I would be looking to pick up someone like potentially Vingegaard, potentially One Ayuso, guys that I think are getting a lot of jersey points and I also think are going to do well in the TT coming up the day after tomorrow. Or I'd be looking to pick up riders like Gourmet or Cavendish, the slightly lower cost sprinters who are doing well and also expected to continue to contest a bunch of the flat sprints we have in the next week. I also, if I were to make any of those trades, I also would be looking to pick up some of the better low-cost riders rather than Renard and Arndt. I'd probably keep Grelier, but I would be looking to pick up some of the riders from FDJ or Total Energies in these slots if I were to make a trade. But at the minute, no changes. Going to keep Jesper Philipsen as my stage win bonus for tomorrow. All right, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow.